Marriage looks peaceful from the outside. A man with a ring, a house, a life built from promises. But behind that calm exterior lies a truth most men never say out loud, that every vow carries a hidden debt. It's not the money, it's not the work, it's the quiet surrender that begins the day he says, "I'll take care of it." Because from that moment on, the world assumes he always will. He becomes the foundation no one thanks until it cracks, the protector who never feels protected, the constant, reliable, responsible, replaceable. Cinematically, picture a man smiling at the dinner table while his eyes drift to the window. He's there, but he isn't. Half present, half erased. Philosophers once said that duty, without recognition, slowly becomes despair, but he can't say that. He just keeps showing up, keeps fixing what breaks, except himself. That's the hidden cost of being a husband. You hold everything together until you no longer remember what it feels like to fall apart. Every husband carries a weight that no one else notices until he's gone. It doesn't make noise, it doesn't complain, it just sits on his shoulders like a quiet law he never agreed to but somehow obeys. He wakes up earlier than he wants to, not because he's motivated, because he's obligated. Obligation has replaced adrenaline, responsibility has replaced freedom. He doesn't chase purpose anymore, he manages consequences. The world told him that a good husband provides, protects, and endures. What it didn't say is that endurance slowly becomes identity. He isn't tired from effort. He's tired from invisibility. His sacrifices don't look heroic, they look normal. And that's the cruel part. The better he performs his role, the less anyone sees he's performing. Philosophers like Camus wrote about the absurd hero, the man who pushes his boulder every day knowing it will roll back down. That's the husband's quiet masterpiece. He carries peace for others while losing his own. He's expected to be steady, rational, unbreakable, even when life is carving him hollow from the inside. Cinematically, picture him at a birthday party, handing out slices of cake he paid for, smiling at laughter he can't fully feel. Everyone's happy, he should be too, but he isn't. He's calculating costs that can't be written on receipts. Emotional exhaustion, lost ambition, silence mistaken for strength. This is the unseen burden, the expectation to be permanent in a world that treats permanence like a flaw, to be dependable without needing to be understood, to carry love like armor and hope like debt. He won't complain, he'll just keep showing up, because that's what men do. Until one day, the man who never faltered simply fades, and no one can explain when it happened, only that he was always there. The day he said, "I do," he didn't just choose love, he signed a lifelong contract with the responsibility. Not the legal kind written in ink, but the invisible one written in expectation, the unspoken agreement every husband inherits. You'll be strong when no one else can be, and silent when no one else will be. In the beginning it feels noble, the thrill of providing, protecting, proving himself useful. It's masculine purpose at its purest form, but slowly that purpose hardens into identity. He stops asking what he wants and starts measuring who he is by how much he gives. Responsibility becomes his currency for love, and the more he pays, the more invisible he becomes. Cinematically, picture a man signing papers, mortgage, car payments, insurance policies, each one another brick in a wall he's building around himself. He calls it stability, but behind that word hides something heavier, captivity. He's not trapped by his wife or family, he's trapped by his own code. Because somewhere along the line, responsibility stopped being a choice. It became the only proof he had of worth. Philosophers like Kierkegaard called this the sickness unto death, the despair of living entirely for others while forgetting the self that once dreamed. The modern husband carries that sickness quietly, masking it with humour, hard work, or distraction. He tells himself he's lucky, and he is, but luck doesn't erase fatigue. Every act of love now feels like labour. Every moment of peace feels borrowed. He's built his life like a fortress, solid, dependable, unshakable. But a fortress also has no doors. No one comes in, and he can't find his way out. That's the hidden transaction of marriage. He trades freedom for security, individuality for identity, desire for duty. And when he looks back years later, he can't tell whether he built a home or a cage. Every relationship runs on emotion like an engine runs on fuel. But in most marriages, the husband becomes the silent power source, constantly giving energy, rarely receiving it back. He's the one who steadies the storms, absorbs the moods, and diffuses the tension before it detonates. It's not a role he chose consciously, it's one life quietly handed to him. When she breaks down, he listens. When the kids cry, he fixes. When the world collapses, he holds. And when he finally feels like collapsing, he hides it, because his pain feels like a liability. Men don't cry in this economy, they fund it. Cinematically, imagine a man sitting across from his wife nodding, as she unloads the weight of her day. She cries, and he offers logic. She yells, and he offers patience. She apologizes, and he says, "It's okay." Not because it is, but because it has to be. Someone has to remain calm for the house to keep standing, that someone is always him. The philosophers called this imbalance the paradox of endurance. The stronger he appears, the lonelier he becomes. His emotional labor is invisible because it doesn't fit the narrative. Society praises empathy, but only when it looks soft. A man's empathy looks silent, still, uncelebrated. He doesn't speak it, he shoulders it. Over time, that silence compounds like debt. He stops talking, not out of pride but preservation. He learns that vulnerability makes others uncomfortable, that expressing emptiness only adds more weight to the ones he loves. So he builds walls around his emotions, not to keep others out but to keep himself functional. Philosophers called it stoic virtue. Modern psychology calls it suppression. Either way, it costs him the same thing, connection, because you can't love fully when you're always managing the emotional balance sheet. He becomes the banker of everyone's peace, bankrupting his own in the process. And the cruelest truth? No one notices until the balance runs out. Desire doesn't disappear in marriage. It fades like colour left too long in the sun, not suddenly, gradually, invisibly under the weight of routine. The very stability that makes a home safe often makes passion impossible. When two people first meet, mystery does half the work. Distance creates imagination, imagination creates heat, but marriage shrinks that distance until there's nothing left to reach for. Everything known, everything predictable, and predictability is the death of hunger. Cinematically, picture a couple eating dinner in silence. No argument, no tension, just the dull hum of familiarity. They aren't angry, they're comfortable. And comfort, though peaceful, is passion's quiet assassin. Philosophers saw this long before modern psychology tried to quantify it. Aristotle warned that excess comfort leads to decay. Nietzsche wrote that what is domesticated ceases to desire. Desire needs risk, uncertainty, a hint of chaos to stay alive. But in modern marriages, risk has been engineered out of existence. Bills are on autopay, emotions are managed, sex is scheduled. There's security in it, but no surprise. The husband feels this decline before she does. He notices when her laugh changes tone, when her touch becomes habitual instead of curious, but he doesn't say anything. He tells himself it's just maturity, that passion is supposed to evolve into peace. That's what good men do. They rationalize what they're afraid to mourn. Over time, he stops trying to be desired and focuses on being dependable. She stops flirting and starts planning. Love becomes logistics. They exchange sparks for safety, and both pretend it's a fair trade. But philosophers would argue it isn't, because when desire dies, so does the sense of being chosen. Not once at the altar, but again and again in the ordinary moments that make a marriage real. The hidden cost of being a husband isn't losing freedom, it's losing the thrill of being wanted. And no man survives long without that fire. Provision is supposed to feel noble, a man's natural calling, his proof of purpose. But over time, it becomes something heavier. Not pride, not duty. A quiet, endless audit of his worth. Every paycheck, every bill, every meal on the table whispers the same question in his head. Would they still love me if I couldn't keep this going? It's not insecurity, it's realism. Because a man learns early that his love is measured by his output. As long as he produces, he belongs. When he stops, he risks becoming a burden. Or worse, invisible. Cinematically, imagine him standing at the kitchen counter, scrolling through his banking app in the dark. The numbers glow like a scoreboard, each digit a reminder that affection often follows stability. He's not greedy, he's terrified. Because no one admits this out loud. Money may not buy love, but it absolutely rents respect. Philosophers called this the moral tax of duty. A man trades his freedom to buy security for others. He carries the invisible pressure of being the safety net everyone forgets to thank. Even his moments of peace are leased, never owned. The moment he relaxes, a new expense appears. A car repair, a school trip, another silent reminder that rest is a luxury he hasn't earned yet. He tells himself it's worth it, that being needed is better than being free. And maybe that's true, but the weight compounds. He can't break, he can't collapse, because when the provider stumbles, the whole house shakes. Society romanticizes male sacrifice but never studies its decay. The man who provides endlessly without replenishment doesn't become a hero, he becomes hollow. The same discipline that makes him reliable eventually erases his joy. This is the hidden tax of being a husband. He gives until his giving becomes expected, and the day he stops, the world doesn't thank him. It panics. That's the cruel irony of provision. The better you do it, the less they see you're doing it at all. Before he was a husband, he was someone else. He had dreams that didn't involve deadlines, and curiosities that didn't fit inside routines. He had favourite songs, secret ambitions, private rebellions, but somewhere between building a life and maintaining it, the man he was got traded for the man he had to be. It doesn't happen overnight. It's slow, like a photograph fading under the sun. One day he cancels the gym because the baby's sick. Then he skips the night out because she's tired. Then he stops writing, drawing, playing, exploring, because there's always something more important. The self doesn't die, it just becomes background noise. Cinematically, picture him in the garage, surrounded by the remnants of his past. A guitar, old sneakers, a dusty punching bag, artifacts of someone who still exists, just not in practice. He tells himself he'll return to them when things settle down. But things never settle. Life becomes an assembly line of obligations dressed as love. Philosophers like Kierkegaard called this the despair of the everyday, the quiet corrosion of identity that happens when duty becomes the only source of worth. He doesn't resent his family, he resents the vanishing, the slow erasure of his individuality, replaced by titles that sound honourable but feel hollow. Provider, protector, partner. Everyone around him still loves him. They just love the version that exists for them, not the one that once existed for himself. And after years of being needed, he forgets what it feels like to simply want. This is the hidden cost no one talks about. You can lose everything that makes you you and still be considered a good man, because in the world's eyes, his success is measured by what he maintains, not by what he mourns. Philosophers say a man's soul doesn't vanish from neglect, it calcifies. It hardens around habit until it becomes unrecognizable. He's not gone, he's just transparent. The man who once lived for himself now exists as maintenance for everyone else. Some betrayals don't come from a person, they come from the culture itself. Once being a husband meant honour. Now, it's a punchline. The same society that demands responsible men also ridicules them for being predictable. The same voices that say, be a good man, also whisper, boring. It's a quiet humiliation, death by mockery. Movies, memes, sitcoms, all showing the same caricature. The tired husband, the nagged man, the fool in his own home. And the audience laughs, not realising that every joke is a slow erosion of respect. Cinematically, picture him watching TV with his family. On screen, a husband is being ridiculed by his wife. Everyone laughs. He smiles too, but it lingers in his chest like smoke, because he knows that somewhere along the line, devotion became something to be ashamed of. Philosophers called this resentment of virtue, the tendency of societies in decay to mock the values that once sustained them. Discipline, commitment, loyalty, all rebranded as oppression or weakness. And so the modern husband stands trial in a culture he built. He pays taxes, works overtime, raises children, keeps his promises, but he's no longer admired for it. He's tolerated. Meanwhile, the world celebrates rebellion, self-indulgence, and emotional chaos, qualities that would have once destroyed civilizations but now trend online. The husband becomes an artifact, a relic of a moral system too stable to be exciting. He's the backbone everyone leans on and the scapegoat everyone blames. Philosophers like Nietzsche warned of this inversion, when strength is seen as threat and sacrifice mistaken for servitude. Modernity betrayed its men not with violence but with mockery. It stripped meaning from their roles and called it progress. The cruelest irony? The same culture that tells men to be strong also tells them they're the problem, so they withdraw emotionally and spiritually, not because they stopped caring, but because they finally realised no one noticed when they did. This is the modern betrayal, the quiet exile of the very men who kept civilization standing. Everyone praises stability, until they realise what it costs the man who provides it. Stability sounds peaceful, but it's built on tension. It's the art of holding everything together while pretending it's effortless. The husband becomes the still point in a spinning world, calm, dependable, immovable, but stillness isn't peace. Stillness is suppression. He doesn't rage when things go wrong, he recalculates. He doesn't cry when he's exhausted, he compartmentalizes. He doesn't ask, who will take care of me? Because he already knows the answer. Cinematically, imagine a man sitting in his car after work, engine off, headlights dim, staring at nothing. That's not boredom, that's decompression. It's the only place he's allowed to exhale without being asked. What's wrong? He's not broken. He's just too responsible to fall apart where someone can see. Philosophers called this the stoic burden, the paradox of strength that traps the strong. When you become the anchor, you stop being allowed to drift. When everyone depends on your balance, even silence becomes performance. You can't show fear without shaking the whole ship, and so he carries his storms privately, in tight jaws, in quiet drives, in sleepless nights, or he stares at the ceiling rehearsing solutions to problems no one even knows he's solving. He doesn't want sympathy, he wants space. But even space feels selfish when others rely on your presence to feel safe. The cost of stability isn't financial or physical, it's spiritual. It's the gradual loss of permission to be human. He can fix, build, provide, protect, but he can't collapse, because when the pillar cracks, everything it holds crumbles with it. That's the curse of being stable. You become invisible not because no one cares, but because everyone assumes you'll never fall. And when you finally do, the silence that follows isn't shock, it's confusion. They never imagined the foundation needed support too. Love, for a husband, is rarely measured in words. It's measured in what he endures quietly. He doesn't keep score, but he feels the imbalance. The way affection fades faster than expectation. The way gratitude gets replaced by routine. He doesn't love to be thanked. He loves because that's what men do when they've chosen someone. They commit past convenience. They stay when emotion fluctuates. They work when no one's watching. That's the sacred math of masculine love. It gives more than it gets and calls it even. But every act of love carries a hidden cost, a debt that's never fully repaid. The more he provides, the more his presence becomes assumed. The more dependable he is, the less he's desired. And the cruelest paradox of all, his reliability slowly erases his mystery. The very traits that made him attractive become the ones that make him invisible. Cinematically, picture him lying beside her at night. She's scrolling her phone, the blue light painting her face. He glances at her, not with anger, but nostalgia. He misses being seen, not as a husband, not as a provider, as himself. The man she once couldn't stop touching now feels like furniture, essential but unappreciated. Philosophers like Kierkegaard wrote that true love requires faith in return, faith that your devotion will not dissolve into duty. But modern marriage often runs on assumption, not faith, and assumption is the quiet killer of intimacy. The husband doesn't need praise, he needs presence. He needs someone to notice the effort beneath the calm. Because every good man carries invisible scars, from words he swallowed, from nights he stayed up fixing, from dreams he delayed to keep the lights on. He never calls it sacrifice, because that would make it optional. But if love is a debt, he's the one paying interest on everyone's comfort. The truth is brutal but clear. He doesn't want repayment. He just wants to know someone sees the price. When the world sleeps, he stands guard, not because he's told to, but because something in him refuses to rest while others depend on his strength. That's the hidden nobility of a husband. He doesn't chase glory, he sustains it. Philosophers once said that virtue isn't loud, it endures, and that's what he's done year after year. He's built a fortress out of reliability, a legacy out of consistency, no medals, no applause, just a quiet man carrying his vows like armor. Cinematically, imagine dawn breaking through the window. The same man who was exhausted at midnight now rises before the sun. There's no audience, no validation, only the steady rhythm of a life he built with his bare hands. He's tired, yes, but beneath that fatigue lives a kind of strength the world no longer understands. A strength born not from dominance, but from devotion. This is his invisible crown, the silent dignity of a man who keeps his word even when no one's watching. The one who trades comfort for continuity, love for legacy, noise for meaning. He doesn't want worship, he just wants the world to remember. It still stands because men like him never stopped holding it up.